At number 10, this has to be my most hated thing in Elden Ring. Why does every boss's name have to start with the letter M, R or G? I don't know about you guys, I have 500 hours in Elden Ring, and when I'm playing Elden Ring with someone new, I will still get the names confused. At least 5 times per playthrough. So it's me who looks like a knob every time I'm playing the game, and I'm like, yep, we're gonna go fight Morgot first. Margit. We're gonna fight Margit, who looks identical to Morgot. And it's my fault. Bro, just switch up the names, just call him fucking Alan. Just look at the amount of bosses in this game that share these letters. And you're meant to go through the game and just remember everybody's name. I get it somewhat categorises them, like the letter M tends to be the Omens or Queen Marika's and Radagon's offspring. The letter R tends to be Radagon and Renala's offspring. The letter G tends to be related to Godfrey, but it's not 100% like that, and it just makes it confusing. Just change the names, man, don't give them all the same letter, especially when some of them look almost identical. Like, come on. And it makes it even worse when you realise that it's George R.R. Martin's initials. That part pissed me off the most. Just putting that out there. At number 9, and some people are gonna hate me for this one, man. Elden Ring's open world is lackluster. Don't get me wrong, I think visually Elden Ring's world is one of the best looking worlds ever designed in a game. And I sincerely mean that, but it feels empty. For an open world RPG, it's filled with clutter, it's filled with enemies that are copy and pasted. It doesn't have that many unique encounters in the game. It's got a few, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff you can stumble across is pretty cool. For a game that's story is based kinda around wars happening, there is not a lot of wars to find. You would still expect some people to be in the midst of battle. If you go play other open world games, and I know these are kinda a different category compared to Souls games, but if you go play, say Skyrim, if you play Skyrim 15 times, you do different builds, but you could follow the same route, you will run into different encounters every time. Skyrim has so many random events that you could spend a couple of hundred hours in the game without seeing them all. And then with Elden Ring's open world, the second you hit New Game Plus, it becomes the same as the other Souls games where you just run through it in about 10 hours, which is fine. It keeps it similar and it keeps the replayability feeling the same as the older games. But the open world is just lackluster, it's just missing stuff. To me, it's mainly missing events that go on out with your character. I know your character is the main character, I get that, but there was a whole ass war, there was so many feuds, so much beef in this fucking land, there was so much beef going on that you would expect things to go on that isn't related to your character, but there's really not much. Majority of the stuff going on is because your character's doing it, which makes the world feel a bit lifeless. By the way guys, if you have any disagreements with this, please let me know in the comments, or let me know about the things you hate or love in Elden Ring. I'd just like to get everyone's opinion about this and just want to get a big discussion going on it, man, because we all really love this game, but we all fucking hate it if we play it too much, you know? At number 8, this is the other one I've got a big problem with, and it's repeating bosses. There is like 9 Night Cavalries, 3 Tree Sentinels, 3 Fallen Star Beasts. There is a lot of bosses that are just reused for the sake of fleshing out the game. Some of them I can get behind, but I don't want to sit and fight 3 Margits, 2 Godfreys, and it's just a spoiler for the moveset. It just stops making them feel unique when I get to the real boss. 2 Mogs? Whose idea was that? That doesn't even make sense to me. Why is there 2 Mogs? What if you go beat one's ass? Why is the other one still there? Ain't the same dude? I don't care about Godfrey's Golden Shade, bro. I just wanted to fight him. I didn't need a spoiler moveset for an upcoming fight. See, if he just appeared at the end of the game, his fight would have been more impactful. We could have just got some Leyendell Captain in that initial boss arena instead of Golden Godfrey. Bro, you've just told me half his moveset before Horaloo pops out. To me, it's not needed. Copy and pasting bosses makes them feel less and less unique the more times you fight them. I don't care if, like the Watchdogs, you do a little switch up in their moveset or you make it 2 bosses instead of 1. It still gets stale, it gets boring. Repeating bosses is something that has to be done so carefully, and Elden Ring just felt like having like 200 bosses, and so many of them were repeats because they wanted to have 200 bosses. At number 7, this is going to be another one where people are going to get upset, and I'm going to say it, I think the NPC quests in Elden Ring are pretty bad. They're poor. The only good ones are the Three Fingers, so the Shabriri ending, and Rani's ending. Both good. The rest of the NPC quests, mid. They're all mid. They're not that unique. I don't feel like any of the other NPC quests come close to the level that Sigurd's was or Anri's was from Dark Souls 3. They just felt more rewarding. Even when you completely finish a questline, you don't get good rewards from it. Some of the NPCs are just dialogue spamming. Take Hugh and Rodriguez's questline. Why did I need to run back and forth and be the messenger? Why can't she just walk over to him? This is a 2022 game and the NPC is incapable of speaking to another NPC without me being there. And that goes back to the world building is just because it doesn't feel like anything happens unless you as the player make it happen, which again makes the game feel lifeless. I love Elden Ring, it's definitely one of my favourite games, but man, if it had Oblivion NPCs cutting about, it would be the most unbeatable game ever. If it had full scale battles going on around your character, it would be untouchable. I get there are engine limits. I'm well aware there are engine limits, but there is just other ways to improve world building by making you not feel like the most important thing ever. You can become the most important thing ever, but you don't need to be at the start. Which brings me on to number 6, summoning. Seamless co-op did it better. Elden Ring is an open world game and the Dark Souls classic summon sign system only works if you're playing solo, and it works because if you're like, okay, I am stuck on Millennia, let me pop this, let me see if I can summon someone. And it works great. Or random PvP invasions. I think that system still works so well because it's always kind of like a surprise. You're like, oh damn, I've been invaded, okay, and you have to battle this dude and you can lose progress. And I think it works so well, but being invasion locked by regions is a pain because you might not be in a good area for invading and you need to keep teleporting around the map to find people. Having friends that is a struggle to summon is outdated when Seamless has just made a complete co-op game. And the worst one, without Seamless, you can summon someone at the Church of Ela, you can run north to this cave and de-summon the person because you can't walk through this cave's fog door. And then you have to re-summon the person on the other side of the fog door. That is so tedious. That is so unnecessary. When Seamless has done it, just look at Seamless, look how it works, and then add the PvP to it. If you want to make it balanced, you can up the number of invaders by the number of summons. At number 5, have you ever been running around on Torrent when all of a sudden your spectral steed decides to die? And then while you're in the midst of combat, you have to click 3 buttons to summon them, and then this pops up! Whose fucking idea was this? And it defaults onto no? That's number 5 by itself. That feature sucks. That is the worst pop-up in a game ever. Honest to God. Bro, that extra option at the end, I have to hold triangle or Y, press down to summon it. That is not... How the fuck are you meant to click that accidentally? It's not like a user input error. It's just an unnecessary fucking message. You're never going to click those 2 buttons by accident. Please remove that final option. At number 4, Elden Ring to me still has some features that are a bit clunky. What I mean by that is, have you ever waited till night time to fight a Knight's Cavalry, die, respawned, and then you have to wait till night time again? That is so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious. I think some of the Stakes of Marika are very clunky. Same with some of the Sites of Grace. Take Stormvale Castle for instance. After you kill Margit, see what I mean? You get a Site of Grace, you take 25 steps up a hill and you get a Site of Grace. But when you get to Leyendell Capital, you get the Queen's Bedchamber and you have to run up and down that staircase every time Godfrey kills you. Like what? It's so inconsistent. Same with Malekith. Big weird spiral path for no reason. A Site of Grace should spawn after you kill the Tree Sentinel outside of Malekith. Just be consistent if you're going to use them. At number 3, Great Runes. I think the Great Runes are either really strong and they're really useful, or they're complete shit and you never pick it up. It is also extremely tedious to go grab a Great Rune every single new game. Surely you should just keep the Great Rune. It's like an item, and I guess that, like, okay, you need to go kill the boss and grab the rune, or it will probably let you skip progression or something into Leyndell Capital. But by that point, you finish the game. You should kinda just be able to skip it if you want to skip it. Some of them feel very underutilised, some of them don't feel all that original. Like, one of them heals you for hitting people, and the other one heals you for killing things. So, like, it's kind of the same thing, just different, you know? Like, that could have been one. And then 3 of the other ones just kind of increase a stat, or all stats, or multiple stats. Like, it's kind of weird. They just don't seem to have much of an impact. Yeah, I don't know, the Great Runes to me are just, they're kind of mid, they're an underused feature. The fact that you don't even have to actually grab the Great Runes, it's just kill the boss to get a Great Rune, quote unquote, is also odd to me. I don't know, they just feel kind of pointless in the game, or kind of like an afterthought, I guess. On to number 2. I mentioned this in my last video, but I think the bell summons are both the best and worst thing Elden Ring has. I think it's really cool to have like a wee summon that will help you fight. I would rather it was necromancy and you could summon as a magic type. I think that would change up the magic game so much in Souls. I think it would be so unique. But it does allow every class to summon, which I think is cool. 99% of players who play Elden Ring will abuse the Mimic because it's OP. The rest of the summons then seem useless in comparison to the Mimic because the Mimic has like double their health. It's got your stats, it deals your damage if it decides to use the right weapon. Wouldn't be the first time I've been a fucking strength faith build and watched my Mimic try and cast incantations mid boss fight. It has all of that, plus it's got an Aestus. The fact that the Mimic can just pop a heal, it just makes the rest of the summons feel useless. We need better summons. The summons need buffed, or they need gimmicks of their own, man. Some of them, I get it, right? If you're going to meme and summon slugs in a boss fight, they're going to die. That's fine. The legendaries have to live up to the other legendaries, and they don't. They just don't. Half of them just become cannon fodder for Millennia to lifesteal offer. So the only one that's actually viable to summon is the Mimic. That one bothers me because it messes up the variety of build options. At number 1, the armour sets in Elden Ring, the Fashion Souls, is whack. There is some really nice armour sets, don't get me wrong, here are some of my favourites here. But some of the armour sets in this game are just so ugly, or they don't match me anything, or I don't know. Every time I play Dark Souls 3, I like swap armour set because there's so many nice looking sets. Every time I play Elden Ring, I wear the same armour set. And I get everybody has their own taste and each to their own, but I think Elden Ring has maybe the worst armour sets in the Souls series. Maybe not Dark Souls 1, but it's definitely worse than Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3, and Bloodborne, but Bloodborne is different. The Hunter sets are too fucking sick. Why does Elden Ring have the worst sets? And Elden Ring, to me, should have doubled down and went way more like medieval looking. Medieval fantasy, but they could have kept like some kind of realism in the armour sets, and I think that would have fit the game really nicely. So like a lot more kind of chainmail accessories in the armour sets, or like cloak variants or cape variants. There should have been just so much more done with the sets. Speaking of variation, the garment alterations are so disappointing. The only thing you can do is remove capes or hoods or add them. It doesn't do anything, it just doesn't look, and then it messes up your stats. And I get, okay, you can't change armour sets too much because of PvP, you can't obscure the armour set, and I get that, but everybody wants their armour set to be their own unique armour set. If I want to change the trim in my armour set, I should be able to do that, you know? Or if I want to change the headpiece on Radahn's set, I should be able to do that. Why would I want it? I don't know, because I've got the choice. But you can't, it's just so stuck in its own way, and it's just it's mad. It's just a disappointing feature, to be honest. Like, it would have been better not added because it just made you think it just didn't meet expectations. By the way guys, I've just made a video on all the features I want to see in the Elden Ring DLC, so if you're interested in what I want to see in the DLC, then click here and jump into it.